Hi there. Greetings, salutations. Hello, good afternoon, good morning. Happy June, right?
Happy June, yeah.
My name is Jake Quarry. That is Derek Schultz. We did not plan on wearing our matching gray T-shirts today.
Oh, look at that.
Yours is more charcoal. Mine's more
Mine's
gray.
a little bit darker.
Tell me what I do about this. This is from Roots Canada.
Yeah, it looks comfy.
My favorite store. It's the best, right? So I was just in Canada last week, and I went to Roots, my favorite clothing store, bought. Usually I buy like way too much. This time I just bought a shirt. I saw a shirt I liked, bought it. Buy it, come home, all excited to wear it. The little ink theft-proof tag is still on it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's only...
Can't go back to Canada, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So do you think if I went to like...
Is it still on right now?
No, it's not this shirt. It's
Oh,
a
okay,
different
gotcha.
shirt. Can you imagine if I wore it around with the little...
You know what? I bet... One great thing that Amazon has done, and not everything that Amazon has done is great, is that they have made it so the customer is now empowered when it comes to stuff like that. So I bet if you emailed them and said, hey, look, I'm in Indiana. I went to Canada. I love your store. They left the tag on. I bet they just mail you a new shirt. I bet they would.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. I bet they'd do that.
We'll try it. How's that?
Yeah, try it. Let me know how it goes. But I bet they would do that.
Should I tell them that you suggested that?
Sure. We do have some a little bit of an audience in Canada, so they might know about the show.
No,
they might. I don't want to overstate. I don't want to guarantee. I mean, we have
obviously
wide-ranging international
popularity.
This
is episode 189.
189, yeah.
And I want to thank not only ISC, but Chateau Kitchens, Hoagie and Hops, Love Heating and Air, Bailey and Wood, the presenting sponsor. It goes without saying. It does feel to me like this show continues to kind of grow. Like our footprint, I enjoy, and I think people do listen to it, do watch it, do enjoy it, and those groups make it possible. So Bailey & Wood's the presenting sponsor. They keep your money right here in Central Indiana, which we love, BAWFG.com. Love Heating and Air. You've heard us mention it over 100 years in Central Indiana, love-hvac.com. So you buy your house from Bailey, getting Bailey & Wood with the best mortgage rate. You have Love Heating and Air come out and make sure that the house is temperate all year round. And then a couple of things you want to redo with the house, no problem. You have Chateau Kitchens come out, redo, whether it be your basement, your bathroom, whatever it might be. They're the best at that. And, of course, they're going to get hungry during the time that they're working, and you want to be hospitable, so you go out and get a sandwich from Hoagies and Hops for them. Mm-hmm. Works out perfect.
A beer from Chili Water.
And a beer from Chili Water.
Yeah, and a couple others to thank. I mean, WGU Indiana helped us kind of get this show off the ground.
They did.
The shop was, I think, the first group, and Brian and Alex that said yes.
American Dairy Association
was a great spot. Yeah, American Dairy Association was kind of in and out, especially in the months around the Speedway. They're a consistent sponsor of ours. So yeah, I mean they've been, and we've had a bunch of others that have been on with us at some point.
Derek, I'm a little nervous. To begin this show because the American Dairy Association of Indiana sent out a survey to attendees of the Fastest Rookie Luncheon.
Yeah, I filled it out.
I'm worried that people for suggestions are going to ask for different MCs.
No, I don't think so. I
think it's entirely possible.
I gave it all 5s out of 5s, and then I said the two hosts were very knowledgeable and handsome.
It's going to be obvious that's coming from you.
But they sent it to my Gmail account, so it just says D. Schultz. So that could be Dave Schultz.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Timothy Schultz, anything else.
It's going to be fairly obvious, I think.
Anything else. Dan Schultz.
A decent amount to talk about, even though that we are in June, right?
Yeah, how about this? We're 189 episodes in. Maybe we led with Caitlin Clark when she got drafted 1, but I don't think we've led with the Fever. Probably in the previous 187 of those episodes, right? And let's start there. I understand that the incident from Friday is now 5 days old as we're taping this, right? And the news cycle sort of moves on, but the Fever finally get a little bit of a breather here. They get a 4-day break after 11 games in 20 days, which is just a crazy, kind of cannonball run that they've had here. They're playing the Liberty and the Sun and, a bunch of these real WNBA title contenders, but I continue to be, I don't think amazed is the right word, because I knew that Caitlin Clark was going to be a big deal. I don't think anybody knew, though, that it was going to be this big of a deal. I mean, you've got that highlight clip leading SportsCenter, and everybody is talking about it on their own individual shows, not just here in Indianapolis, but nationally as well. And it just got a lot of run. Now, it also invites in kind of the worst element of Twitter, right? Because there are people that are flying in that aren't even really involved in sports that are making this a race or a political thing, because everything we make into a race and political thing, right?
I don't think the story of Caitlin Clark being targeted by WNBA players is race-related. I think some of the reactions are. But I don't think the genesis of the story, I don't think has to do with race. Now, the spectrum by which some people interpret what's happening may be race-related. But I think what you have, Derek, is this. And I've been, as you know, a supporter of this whole Caitlin Clark thing from the get-go. I mean, I remember during the NFL Combine, usually when I have that right there, you're like, you need to raise your mic.
Yeah, it's like in your temple, though.
But when no matter where I put it, you argue about where it is.
For some reason, and this isn't coming from me, but from some reason, we've done studies on this, people like to see your face on the show. Okay, see, I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything. Go ahead. Go with your point. I don't want to derail the show.
Does the word chiseled come to mind? So, Caitlin Clark, when we were at the NFL Combine, I was doing my midday show on The Fan, and she announced that she was
coming out, so you knew, that she was going to be a Fever.
And I'm like, guys, this is our lead story. This is a massive story. I know we're at the NFL Combine. That's how big I thought it was and anticipated it being. Now, it's taken on different lifelines, to your point. But I think it comes down to this, Derek. Great players that go into coaching. Magic Johnson, Wayne Gretzky. Clyde Drexler.
Isaiah Thomas.
Great players that go into coaching oftentimes struggle as coaches because they naturally assume that what comes natural to them and instinctive to them on the floor is the same for everyone. So they anticipate that their point guard or their shooting guard or their quarterback or whatever it may be is going to have the same vision and anticipation of things that they had. And they can't grasp that not everybody has that. Mm-hmm. Caitlin Clark is a player at Iowa. I think this seed was planted at Iowa because if you watched her, she's a great passer. She has great court vision. She's obviously a great player, but not even occasionally. I mean, a lot. When you would watch her in college, she would make a no-look pass or oh my gosh, how did she see that play developing pass to a teammate who was not anticipating it. And they would fumble the ball or miss the layup because they're hurrying it because they weren't expecting the pass. And Caitlin Clark's body language was terrible. It was always, and then run down the floor.
Yeah.
And I think that planted a seed of resentment to other players. And notably in the WNBA, and you know, the part about them now flying charters, but that was put into the collective bargaining agreement a couple of years ago, as I understand it. It's not entirely because of her, but I think that was accelerated, at least in the Fever's case. And I think that other players eventually are going to be aware of the fact that the WNBA eyeballs and the TV money and everything is going to eventually trickle down to them. But what you're seeing is players that have been in the league for a while, that have been flying on commercial flights and dealing with travel delays and whatever else with the WNBA and playing in front of 1,500, 2,000 people. And they are seeing a young woman coming into their league before playing in a single game that everybody in the world is aware got a $20 million Nike contract and a multi-million-dollar Gatorade contract and is painted 5 stories high on a building in Indianapolis and is leading the talk shows nationally. And these other players are saying, what about us? We've been here a while.
Yeah.
Where's our due? And there is a resentment towards her. Now, will that eventually fade out? I don't know. I think it will. And I think she's a wonderful player and is good. And I love the fact that she's in Indiana. However, and this is really, and I realize this is, and I totally understand it. But Derek, the 3 biggest athletes in Indianapolis in the last 25 years are who?
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark.
Aside from her.
Aside from
Tamika Catchings?
Sure.
Within their respective sports.
Yeah, within their respective sports, absolutely.
And,
I don't know, pick a pacer. Halliburton?
Okay. Now, Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton comes, gets traded to Indiana. It's clear that Tyrese Halliburton had his heart set on being in Sacramento a long time. He gets traded to Indiana, and he embraces it immediately. And the All-Star Game's here, and he's hosting people, and he's touting Indianapolis, and he's Mr. Indiana, right? Tamika Catchings comes to the Indiana Fever, goes, wins an Olympic gold medal, comes back, holds press conferences, has her medal there, lets everybody take photos with it, opens up a tea store, goes to like countless numbers of basketball
community,
camps.
all the community stuff.
Peyton Manning. Yeah. Peyton Manning is a rookie, immediately has a deal where he's doing television commercials for a local grocery store and a car dealer, and
Bob
he's
and Tom.
about town, and he's doing Bob and Tom.
Hospital.
He's doing the hospital, all that. I realize it's very early here, and I realize the schedule's been arduous, to say the least. But Caitlin Clark has yet to do any of that. She has not been made. This is not Caitlin Clark's fault. The Indiana Fever, and I'm not saying this is a radio host in Indianapolis. Okay, it doesn't have to be my show. But in terms of, she still feels like she's a national brand that just happens to be on loan in Indiana. And eventually, as this groundswell of us against the world takes place with her, if the Fever don't start getting her involved as part of the Indianapolis community, then it's going to be seen as such for the fan base of the us against the world. People are going to be like, you know what, she is an outsider. And it's going to hurt the potential they have to grow this into a 15-year phenomenon in Indianapolis. I know that sounds crazy. I totally understand, and this is not me being like needy little media boy. It's not. I'm just saying from a PR standpoint, I think Caitlin Clark needs to – she's done the right things in not speaking out about these incidents, but at some point she needs to be somebody that appears to be embracing her situation, her team, and her teammates.
Yeah, I think we have to table that until she actually has an offseason or a preseason. There's been no time. She's been here for 6 weeks. They just played 11 games in 20 days. She's had to focus on basketball, and I understand that.
I get it, but I would think after her in her introductory press conference to allow her it only take. I'm just saying one time. Hey, we're going to let her do one-on-one interviews with each of the 4 TV stations for 10 minutes each, and then she'll do one radio interview for 15 minutes locally, and then be done with it.
She did one-on-ones with TV, right? I'm pretty sure she did. I don't think she did radio.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. Because I remember, our buddy Hagan and some others posting themselves. I think Dom Miranda maybe for THR did. And she said something about how, I'm a Midwestern girl, and then everybody got to be like, oh, look, we're in the Midwest too.
Right. I get that, but the bigger point is this. The bigger point is there is a natural resentment, and it is unfair,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it is rooted in the fact that her body language sucks, and it does not look good when she's out there getting her ass kicked, and not a single teammate appears to jump in and have her
And
back.
let's go there too, because Caitlin Clark trash talks, and she thrives off of that. And if she's going to dish it out, she's got to be able to take it. But that doesn't mean that other players can start doing non-basketball things to her. And that was the big problem with the Kennedy Carter play, was that it was a non-basketball play. That wasn't trash talk. If she had called her the B word,
right.
Whatever. I don't love that, but whatever. It's on the court. Words are words, right? But it's the physical stuff that bothers me. And yeah, it's a jealousy thing. Like, let's take Carter, for example. She's a nobody. She's been on 3 teams in 4 years.
She's had discipline
right?
problems.
Yeah, she's had discipline problems. She was out of the league last year. No one knew who she was until 5 days ago, outside of WNBA circles. And there are going to be people like that, players like that say, hey, here's my chance. And look at all the PR that she's gotten from this. She's got her teammate Angel Reese putting her arm around her. That clip's being played over and over again. People know who she is now. She's the enforcer, right, on the Chicago Sky.
But that's what the Fever need.
Yeah.
They need an enforcer. Where are the enforcers?
I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that there was basically a non-reaction there. And it actually didn't take, Christy Sides is a pretty fiery person. It took her until the post game for her to be fired up about it. Like, if I was the coach, I'd be running out on the floor, honestly. And I'm not saying that, like, protect our precious flower, Caitlin Clark. I'm not saying it in that way. I'm saying that, look, it's not – you have to draw a line in the sand. You can't let the officials and the league dictate what's going to be okay and what's not. You have to do that.
It is disingenuous for me to pretend that I'm inside the Fever locker room or know the inner workings of that team. And I want to, again, make very clear – I am a fan of Caitlin Clark and what she brings to Indianapolis, and for young girls playing basketball, all of it. It is optimism and excitement. Do not get me wrong, right? and I think she's an unbelievable talent. Having said all of that, outside perception, I'm not saying reality, but perception can become reality. Derek, outside perception is that the Indiana Fever have a major chemistry problem. Because when you're number one star, when you're posting a video of the team getting ready to take off on a flight and all the team sitting in the back and the big star sitting up front by herself. Now, most players have the aisle to themselves. That's the benefit of a charter flight. But on the floor, when your star player is being knocked to the ground and eventually one comes over and offers a hand to help her out, but nobody is rushing to get in the face of the person that knocks her down, that's a problem.
Yeah, and it's a problem because it makes you look bad. If you're jealous, and we're all human, right? Is there jealousy in the Fever? Of course there is. There has to be, right? Like if I'm Aaliyah Boston, I'm a former number one pick. I'm not just trying to single her out. I think everybody harbors that. It's human nature. But if I'm Aaliyah Boston, I'm the former number one pick. Somebody comes in and immediately they become the face and the star of the team. I'm going to naturally, as much as I want to fight that, I'm going to resent that a little bit. But she's wearing your jersey. So if you let somebody stomp on her, they're stomping on you. It makes you look bad. It makes the franchise look like a joke. Not all, even successful NBA teams, not everybody liked. You think all the Lakers liked Kobe Bryant as a person? Kobe Bryant, to me, it sounds like he was completely insufferable.
Right.
Like he was probably awful to be around, but he won and he held you accountable, and he's your guy. He's your teammate. Everybody went to bat for Kobe. Everybody went to bat for Jordan. And that's not to say that Caitlin Clark is Kobe or Jordan yet, but she's a teammate, right? So even though she is super popular and this superstar, face of the W, the whole deal, you have to treat her like you can't pick sides here. The sides have been chosen. You have to align with your side, whether you like it or not, whether it makes you happy, mad, sad, whatever. And they didn't do that, and hopefully that message will be sent. And I also think, Jake, it's important that the Fever show something here to people that are exposing themselves to the WNBA and even women's basketball for the first time. And so, incompetent play and being run off the court and then looking weak and soft is bad.
That's what I'm talking about. I guess what I'm saying about the part about her in the community, and I know it's early, and it will. I get it. It'll happen, but right now, if you ask 1,000 people on the Las Vegas Strip, I'm going to name a player, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Caitlin Clark. 999 go Iowa, and I get it. I mean, but she plays for the Indiana Fever, and yet there doesn't seem to be any embrace externally by vision of the Indiana Fever saying, like, her teammates saying, like, she's one of us.
Yeah.
And there doesn't appear to be any part of her saying, like, I'm an Indiana Fever.
But that's a battle.
It feels like she's on loan.
That's a battle that the whole league is fighting, because if you went on the Vegas Strip and you asked, hey, Breonna Stewart, people would say UConn.
Right.
They wouldn't say Liberty. They wouldn't say Storm. If you said Candace Parker, they'd say Tennessee.
That's fair.
They wouldn't say, because the WNBA profile's not raised there. They're hoping that Caitlin Clark makes the league into being, hey, Caitlin Clark plays for the Fever. Hey, Angel Reese plays for Chicago. You know what I mean? And people are able to pick out the teams that each one is playing for. So it's just tough, Jake, because this is a work in progress. I think everybody is reacting kind of as they go. This is very much kind of building the plane as they fly it, for the Fever, for the league, for everybody, because this is a phenomenon. No one knows what to do with this. This is uncharted territory. They have never had a player with a presence like this and a spotlight like this.
I do feel for her because I don't know that she knows how to handle it.
No, she's young.
I'm not saying she's handling it incorrectly, but I think she's just stepping back from it because she doesn't know how to handle it.
I think she just wants to play basketball, and unfortunately, she just doesn't have the luxury of just focusing on basketball because there's all this other stuff. Everybody wants a piece of her right now. But I think it's important. I do hope that the Fever, now that they've had a chance to catch their breath a little bit, they can proceed, and it's not just going to be, the first 20 days feel just like a wild goose chase. I mean, it's been crazy.
That's fair.
Game after game after game, and substitution patterns and incidents, and okay, she got hit in the head on this play. Okay, she got hip checked on this play, and she's mad about this, and everybody else is mad about that. And I guess if you're looking glass half full, all this drama and attention is a good thing because we're talking about it and everybody else is talking about it too. But you wish that we were accentuating and focusing on more of the positives of the product, the WNBA product, than talking about, two girls essentially fighting each other, which is an incident.
So do you think it continues to happen over the course of the year, or do you think the message from the league has been sent in terms of opposition?
Yeah, I think she's continuing to have a target on her back, and there'll be multiple other cases where there are flagrant fouls or hard fouls that cross the line. I just hope that the Fever are more apt to react, and the WNBA officiating's got to get a whole heck of a lot better. And the coaching's got to get better. For everybody, for Christy Sides, for WNBA officials, they are under the microscope 1 million times more than they've ever been before. Before you could kind of coaches got fired and officials were held accountable and all of that, but this is a much, much larger audience that is demanding a much higher bar than what you've previously had for that league.
Right. I just, they've got to get some footing, the Fever do, in terms of winning some games, and then you hope everything kind of calms down at that point.
Yeah. The good news is that I don't think they have any more Sega Babas. This New York one was the last Sega Baba.
That's the second game of a back-to-back.
Which I don't even understand. In a league like that, why would you have a Sega Baba at all? It feels like you can fit in enough games without having to worry about...
Why do you have to fit in that dumb phrase?
A noon home start...
Did you make up that Sega Baba crap?
Into a Sega Baba at New York, one of the contenders and one of the best teams in the W. It's ridiculous to me.
Okay, let me...
I'm not trying to whine about the schedule, but come on. What are you doing?
You saved 2 syllables by using an acronym that like 10% of the audience understands.
It takes probably almost like a full minute to say the second basketball game of a back-to-back on the schedule.
Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to say both, and we'll see which takes longer.
Okay.
Ready? I'm going with the real, and you're going with the acronym. 3.
Sega Baba.
No, it's second game back-to-back.
It took so much less time. See, and then you waste time by hammering on this. It's a common basketball term at this point.
It's not.
It's a common basketball term. It is the RBI of NBA, WNBA.
It sounds like the 2 things that you were still like falling asleep with when you were 12.
Runs
Sega
batted in. No one says that. So no one says second game of a back-to-back. It's a mouthful. It's Generation Z, man. Give it to me quick. Post-COVID, the whole deal. Like, let's get it out. Let's get it going. Sega Baba.
During COVID, everything slowed down.
I know, but it's post-COVID now. So now we're talking about things where we're speeding up.
Okay.
Speed on over to Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown, and grab yourself our Hoagie of the week this week,
right
which
near Butler.
is the Dutch Country. And this is a really good Sando. One of the more unique Sandos on there, as many of you know, Christina, who is the owner of Hoagies and Hops, is a PA native. And there are a lot of Dutch, there are a lot of Amish. Oh, look at lettuce. Down there in Pennsylvania. And this is special smoked bologna. So it's not like bologna like you get at the store in the yellow package and you peel it open and it's all processed. It's really good, right?
I'll tell you what,
it doesn't even taste like bologna.
The Lima Ranchera from Chili Water is equally as good, by the way. Has kind of that, it's a lime cerveza. Smooth, perfect for this time of year because it's light, crisp.
You have the crusty soft bread.
Awesome.
Shipped in from South Jersey. You have the Munster, really good sandwich cheese. Little L, little T.
Lettuce and tomato.
9-grain beer mustard from Chili Water.
You get the beer mustard and the Chili Water beer. Perfect combo.
If you like charcuterie.
Derek. Don't talk with your mouth full.
If you like charcuterie. So, cheese, meats, prosciutto, salam, gabagool, the whole deal. Picture it's like charcuterie on a sandwich. That's what it tastes like to me. Like the smokiness of the meat, of the ring bologna, and the creaminess of the Munster, with the little bit of a kick, a little bit of the spiciness of the 9-grain.
Wait a minute.
I don't want to talk.
You haven't even cracked open the best part yet.
I don't even want to talk. It's such a good sandwich. All right. Wash it down.
This just screams of sitting outside on the deck at Hoagies and Hops Chili Water, right there at 42nd and Boulevard.
42nd Boulevard, you got it.
Right there, sitting outside, watching Darren King come in, get himself a sandwich. Greg Poley. I mean, this is crisp and clean. This is perfect.
They just have a great selection of
It's like
outdoor
summer in a
beers.
can.
They have a great selection of summer in a can beers. Not just this beer, but a lot of the ones. I mean, I think the Mama Tried, which is a darker Mexican lager, so you say, well, dark beer at summer, dark beers for winter, but I think that can be a summer beer.
Yeah.
But a lot of what they have there at Chili Water Tap Room.
Looking can, too.
This Lima Ranchera, really, really good. So check that out, too. HoagiesandHops.com. Catering. You're having a party. Get a bunch of Sandos over at Hoagies and Hops.
Sandwiches.
And you and I are going to sit out on that patio sometime, one of these summer nights. Have a Lima.
Well, at least this will make it worth it.
Have a Hoag. A little gabagoo. Really, really good. Our hero of the week. I can safely say that he has never been put in this category. I'm not sure anybody has ever called Kyrie Irving a hero, but I do kind of like. How often does this happen for you? You made up, and even in life, not just in sports, you make up your mind on somebody, and then they kind of come back and they surprise you, and you say, maybe I was wrong about them. Okay. Like, all right. Or it, changes your opinion of them, even sometimes in a negative way. This would be in a positive way. Post-winning with Cleveland, Kyrie has kind of had the path that Kevin Durant has had, right? Where his legacy was like this after the game-winning shot.
Right.
And now now it went like this. It was a disaster in Boston. He had some injuries, too. He dealt with some injuries in Brooklyn. Brooklyn was a flop. They brought him and Durant and Harden, all those guys together. I think they won one playoff series, if I'm not mistaken. They were swept out of the first round 3 separate times. Now he goes to Dallas. They kind of get him for like 40 to 50 cents on the dollar. And he really has worked well with Luka, right?
He's put his ego aside
Yeah.
and said, you know what, Luka's the best teammate I've ever had, and that's the guy, and then he's the compliment to it, and that's a really tough compliment.
And he can still light it up. I mean, Kyrie is on a pure talent standpoint, he's a top 5 or 6 talent in the league. I've always felt that
I would
way,
agree.
which is kind of made his career a little bit frustrating, right? Because he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a really good player. He's had a really good career, but I think it could have been much more than that.
His ball handling's incredible.
Yeah.
Elite.
Went for over 30 points 3 times against Minnesota in the West Finals, and they're just going to need him. I think Boston is a heavy, heavy favorite
Boston
here.
in 6.
Yeah, I think we might be looking at Boston in 5, but
That's
we'll
possible.
see. We'll see. I'm still Tatum to me doesn't scare me like other great players in the league. He just doesn't. I think Jaylen Brown actually might be their
the way,
toughest and best player.
Did Jaylen Brown shrink, by the way?
I don't think so.
I was under the impression, going back to when Jaylen Brown was drafted into the NBA, I had in my mind that he was a particular height. And then I looked at the sheet during the Pacers Celtics, and I'm like, wait, how tall do you think Jaylen Brown is? Don't look it up. How tall is Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown 6'6".
What, you looked it up.
Oh my! He's like a guard wing player.
But for whatever reason, I always thought he was.
You thought he was like 6'10"?
I thought he was like 6'9". I thought he was
Right.
Paul George.
Yeah, no. Paul George is a big dude.
Understood. But
Yeah.
I thought Jaylen Brown was. I've always thought of him as a 3'4".
I mean,
I don't know. I'm convinced that when he came into the league, he was listed as 6'9". I love him as a player. Love him. I remember when there was rumor, and I swear I didn't make this up one night in a hallucination. There was rumor at one time that Jaylen Brown could possibly be a trade piece with Indiana. Do you remember that? Like after his rookie year, he was floated around as a name. It was like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and a draft pick for Paul George or something. I love Jaylen Brown. I've always loved his game. But I swear to you that when he came out at Cal, he was listed as 6'9".
well, I'm not sure anybody actually watched him at Cal, so maybe
Good point.
maybe that was
I'm
part
looking
of
up his rivals to see what they
I don't know.
listed in high school.
Those Pac-12 prospects that don't play at like Arizona always seem to really kind of operate in anonymity to me. I just, by far of the power leagues, the Pac-12 is the one that I watch the least. But he's been, I mean, it's that Brooklyn trade, right? It's that Paul Pierce-Garnett trade. It's the after effect of that. I think I'm not sure if Boston owned that pick or not because Boston had some light seasons there. And same for the Tatum pick. But it's the core that was built off of kind of that era where they took a little bit of a dip and then came back up again. But what they're missing is a title. Like I saw a graphic the other day that was like, best dynasty teams or most dominant teams in each respective major
Cal
sport.
listed him at 6'7", by the way.
And they had Boston, and I was like, I think you actually have to win a title before that ends up happening. But congratulations to Kyrie Irving, our hero of the week, and Hoagies and Hops, and our friends at Chili Water Tap Room. We come back. Dallas Clark to the Colts Ring of Honor. Does that change your mind on the next group of candidates? We'll discuss when we return. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Alongside this empty chair, I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks to our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME. If you are looking for a home, inventory is still low. So it is an aggressive market, even if it's not really a seller's or buyer's market. Who kind of knows what it is with interest rates being where they are. One thing that you will need at your disposal to hop in is to get pre-approved for your mortgage so you're ready to go, ready to make an offer, and ready to jump at the opportunity to get a new home. And Mike Wood and his team with 5-star customer service at Bailey & Wood Financial Group can do exactly that. BAWFG.com. Go there to the website. You can find a branch location near you. I swear that if you're anywhere in Central Indiana, you're going to find one that is not far from you because they have 18 different Indiana branch locations, including in a couple of Florida, but BAWFG.com and 855-350-HOME. We appreciate Bailey & Wood Financial Group being our presenting sponsor. Dallas Clark.
I'm back.
Heading to the Ring of Honor. He will be the 19th. Can you believe we're up to 19? I remember when that thing was like 6 people.
Okay, how many can I name here? You ready? You got it in front of you?
Oh, I can get it in front of me, yeah.
Here we go. 19 members of the Ring of Honor. Are there any Baltimore Colts in there, or is it just Indianapolis
Well,
Colts?
I mean, Chris Hinton technically played in Baltimore a couple seasons,
okay.
but no.
So Chris Hinton, Eric Dickerson, Marshall Falk, Bill Polian, Peyton Manning, Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Jim Harbaugh, Bill Brooks. How many am I missing?
You're missing 2 former coaches.
Ted Marchibroda.
Actually, you're missing 3
Tony
former
Dungy.
coaches. Yeah.
Jim Mora. 3 former Colts coaches. I said Bill Polian.
Yep.
Excuse me. I said Tony Dungy.
Yep. You said Marshall
Ted
Broda.
Marchibroda. Okay, were these Indianapolis Colts coaches?
Yes.
Did they win?
The one that you're missing, no. Did not.
Linday Infante? Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
All right,
I gotta
Greg
trick
say
you.
it.
I mean, I gotta trick you with that one because
Okay,
I'd be thinking of Colts coaches.
Who
too.
am I missing?
No, you got the 12th man, which they got
that went away,
trademarked
right?
and that went out. That's it. Tarek Glenn was the most recent one in 2022.
Okay.
In descending order: Glenn, Mathis, Freeney, Wayne, Peyton, Polian, Saturday, Falk, Dickerson, Edge, Harrison, Dungy, Harbaugh, Hinton, Marcia Broda, Brooks, Bobby Irsay.
Okay. Interesting that Jim Irsay's not in there.
I think it's you get inducted after your tenure ends.
Okay, that's fair.
And his tenure is obviously ongoing.
The next then, Dallas Clark to me is deserving. I mean, he was a popular player. He was a very good player.
I'm fine. I thought he was a borderline case. I don't think he was the no-brainer. I had a couple people in my mention say, well, he was one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
I've always wondered this, Derek. Was he a situational tight end?
Yeah, I mean, he had one of the great tight end seasons of all time in 2009. That truly was a great season. But Dallas Clark is in the Todd Heap, Jeremy Shockey category far more than he's in like the Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp category.
But here's my question. Dallas Clark as a player, does he have the same kind of a career if he gets drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals?
It's hard to know, right? But I do think that he was a better athlete, I think, that people gave him credit for.
Totally. Super nice guy, too. Great dude.
And like I said, 07, 08, 09, he had 3 very good to great seasons. He was a really good player for them. And the 09 season is one of the best individual seasons offensively that any Colt had. So I'm totally down with him being in the Ring of Honor. But this is the first time to me, Jake, that it hasn't been oh, yeah, of course, Dallas Clark is in. Because of who's gone in before him. Some people would say that about Tarek Glenn, but Mathis, Freeney, Wayne, Manning, Saturday, Edge, Harrison, those guys were all complete no-brainers. They are all-timers at their position, whereas, Dallas Clark's not going to sniff Canton or anything like that.
Right.
So I do wonder, does this change? There were a couple other people, Antoine Bethea, Bob Sanders.
Bob Sanders has to be next.
I think so. Now you have to put him in. If Dallas Clark warrants inclusion, then I think you have to put Bob Sanders in.
Yeah.
That especially when you talk about popularity.
It was a short window, but he was the Defensive Player of the Year, and he was a huge
2-time All-Pro. So when he was healthy, he was actually really good, and he was a key figure on their Super Bowl team. So if you're taking the Super Bowl, if you're weighing the Super Bowl into account, then I think Sanders and I think Bethea should absolutely be on there. He was a locker room leader, great guy, great story, was beloved by his teammates. The only other 2 that are no longer Colts that to me would be in the lock category.
Okay, hold on. They're both retired?
I don't know if one of them is technically retired. One of them is.
And you're saying a lock?
Yeah. No doubters to me.
Are there any controversies with these people?
No, I don't think so. Certainly not personally.
I'm trying to think. So this is post-Manning era?
One of them would have played with Manning.
Oh, Vinatieri.
Yeah, Vinatieri's a lock.
McAfee?
No, the other one to me that's a lock is T.Y. Hilton.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton's a lock. He will be in the Ring of Honor. I don't think he's officially retired. Rick, is T.Y. officially retired? Yeah, I don't. I'd be surprised if he played again, but I don't think he has officially retired. But that's the next pile is Sanders, Bethea, Vinatieri, Hilton, McAfee. And at what point here does Jim Irsay pick up the phone and call Ray Donaldson? Yep. Right? I mean, come on.
I agree.
Come on. Dallas Clark gets in.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Donaldson was as good as Saturday.
Ray Donaldson should be in the Ring of Honor. And they should have righted that wrong probably a while ago. Bill Brooks. I mean, Bill Brooks is a great guy. He's been a great representative of the franchise, but come on.
I'd like to see George Wansley get in.
Yeah.
Owen Gill.
Somebody was saying to me, like, well, now this opens the door for Brandon Stokely. And I'm like, what? No, it doesn't. Brandon Stokely? Come on, man. Let's
not get ahead of ourselves, right?
Yeah, like,
Torrance Small.
Not, and this whole, like, well, it waters down the Ring of Honor. Jim Harbaugh was here for, like, 5 minutes, and he's in the Ring of Honor. Jim Harbaugh was a nice player, and he had a great season, the 95 season. Yeah, sure. But
Lamont Warren, baby.
Water it down. Give me a break. Cleared
Dwayne Bickett.
Yeah, Dwayne Bickett.
Dwayne Bickett's one.
Jeff Harrod is the other one.
Barry Krause is a good one.
Jeff Harrod is the other one from that era. But the thing is that if you put Harrod in, then you got to put Gary Brackett in, I think. So with each,
you're right.
With each inclusion, you're kind of widening it. And I think they kind of got on this cadence where they were having one of these every year, and they wanted to kind of keep that going. But it's impossible to induct somebody every year. But the Ring of Honor to me is a fan award. That is the number one thing to me. That's the number one criteria. Not Pro Bowls.
Which is why Bob
pros.
Sanders is there, right?
Yeah, not Super Bowls. It's how beloved were you by the fans. And you can weigh the other stuff as well. It's not 100% of the equation, but I think more than 50% of it is how much were you loved by the fans. And Bob Sanders was beloved. He was several tiers higher of a more popular Colt than Dallas Clark was, and Tarek Glenn was, and Marvin Harrison was, if we're being honest. You know, as great as Marvin Harrison was never as popular as Bob Sanders was at his peak.
We had a radio debate about that yesterday.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's no question in my mind. That's not even a debate, I don't think.
I was telling
Yeah.
Jimmy Cook and Eddie
Not even
Garrison,
close.
I'm like, Bob Sanders was arguably, I mean, he was one of the four most popular players on that Super Bowl team.
And part of that was Harrison's choice. Harrison was a very
Totally.
private person.
Totally.
But I could probably count on one hand how many times I've seen somebody in a Marvin Harrison jersey.
Yeah.
Whereas Bob Sanders jerseys were everywhere. And you'll still see one every once in a
You're
while.
right.
Yeah. But it's good content for kind of the offseason. I'm always fascinated by these discussions, kind of with the Baseball Hall of Fame, but trickling on down. Are you worthy or are you not worthy? And hearing it, because people see it subjectively, right? But in this case, I'm fine with Clark. I'm not mad about it. He seems like a good guy too. Did you end up tracking him down?
No.
Okay. Iowa has generally been really good. Iowa really helped me. Their athletic staff helped me.
I saw him last year at the IndyCar race. He was great.
Yeah.
Had him on the show. He's great. And forgot to get his number.
They helped me get to Bob Sanders, but Bob Sanders never replied.
Shock.
Yeah.
Here's one for you, Derek. We've done this before, but it's a fun thing real quick. When I worked in St. Louis, I found out that like the most popular player for the Cardinals, a beloved figure, was Willie McGee. Mm-hmm. Willie McGee was a good player. But his popularity in St. Louis, he is so beloved, more so than you would guess, right? With the Colts and the Pacers, give me the two players. The two that are like kind of face of franchise kind of guys that somebody from outside market would go, I didn't even realize that guy played there.
Yeah, like, oh my God, really?
Right.
Current, they have to be passed,
No,
right?
Yeah.
You know, who was a guy that I think played here forever and people ended up really liking was Jeff Foster.
I think that's one of them.
Right?
I think that's one of them.
Is that weird to say Jeff
No, I think
Foster?
that's one of them. I think he was a beloved figure.
Colt's a little bit tougher for. I mean, Brackett. People from the outside wouldn't think Gary Brackett. What?
I would agree with Brackett. Dale Davis is one.
Yeah, Dale Davis is fine.
Yeah.
Yep. People really like Dale Davis. People really liked
Antonio
Rick Smits, Antonio Davis. Yeah, people really liked all
I'd
those
say
guys.
both Davises
Yeah.
and Jeff Foster, and then Gary Brackett, and I mean Sanders would be up there because people outside of Indy wouldn't think of Sanders, but he's beloved.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else that kind of flew under the radar that was real popular.
Jack Doyle.
Yeah, Jack Doyle's not a bad one. Jack Doyle's, I mean, before his national profile was raised considerably, I think you would have said that about McAfee. 10 years ago, people would be like, what, the punter?
Right.
But he was a very, very popular player while he was here, obviously, and very vocal, which he is still, to say the least, very vocal.
Yeah.
Let's get to our Love That Play. It's brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, 353-2141. Where's our T-shirt? There it is. Love-HVAC.com for Love Heating and Cooling. Been around since 1920, so they're doing something right. Congratulations to UE. Evansville is the only Indiana representative in the College World Series. How much money would you have won on that? Because you had Indiana kind of had a little bit of a disappointing season, but you had Indiana in there, and you had Indiana State, who a lot of people felt like should have hosted a regional. They had a top 10 RPI in there. Who would have thought that Evansville would be the lone one standing?
Derek, you know whose family is from Evansville? You know who I spent many a weekend in Evansville, Indiana with? Chris and John Love of Love Heating and Air.
Their sister went there, right?
Love-HVAC.com. My sister went there.
Okay, that's what it was.
But their mom is from Evansville.
Of the
Grandparents all
Indiana
from
cities,
Evansville.
and this is my parents are from South Bend, so I spent the most time there. But I've been to Fort Wayne a bunch. I've been to Muncie a bunch. I've even kind of unfortunately at least driven through Gary. I've been to Columbus a good amount.
Richmond? You've been to Richmond?
Yes. And you know, it's right off the interstate too.
Right.
Evansville, you're only in Evansville if you're going to
Correct.
Evansville.
That's correct.
For the most part. It's kind of
correct.
tucked away. I've been to Evansville once in my life, and it was for an Incubus concert
Really?
at the old Roberts Stadium in 2002.
Were you in college?
Yeah, I was a sophomore, and my buddy TJ had to study for an exam because he was lame like that, and they had an extra concert ticket, so I went with Michael Shirley, who I've since lost touch with, and then some girl that he was trying to date, for lack of a better term, Her name was Brandy with an I.
How'd
I'm
that
trying
go?
to think of what her last name went. He was successful. I don't know if it was that after the concert that night. And then there was another person in the car with me that had a big chaw in, who was also from Lebanon. Who I don't know who he was.
Now, was there any illegal activity?
What do you mean?
I mean, going to the Incubus show.
I'm not gonna. I went to Evansville. That's what was the point of the story.
You weren't 21 years old, right?
No, I would have been. I would have been 19 because it was early my sophomore.
Underage consumption.
Just don't worry about it. We went to the concert. From what I remember, it was a really good concert.
Because it's been a long time, you mean? Or
Mark Schallenberger, for multiple reasons. Mark Schallenberger hit a 3-run homer to put the Purple Aces up 6-5, and now they're here. First time ever that they've won the regional. They needed the Valley Auto bid just to get in. I read somewhere that only 9 4 seeds have ever won a regional, so it's really, really difficult to do. They got a 3-game set with top-ranked Tennessee now.
They're on their way to Omaha?
No, you have to win Super Regional. You go to Super
That's
Regional,
right.
so you play a 3-game series against now Tennessee, who's the number 1 team in the country, who absolutely dismembered Indiana, and helped eliminate them in their regional.
How about?
But Evansville's got a proud sports and baseball history, and here we are. Yeah, Jamie Carroll and Don Mattingly, and
that's a school, Derek, that as a university is struggling from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's a good school. Obviously, my sister went there, like I said. So would love to see it. Would love to see
all
it.
these schools.
And yes, when I was in St. Louis, everybody told me I looked like Andy Bennis.
Oh, yeah.
Who's also an Evansville guy.
Andy Bennis gave up, I think it was either him or Allen was the brother, right?
Yes.
Did Andy play for the Mariners? Was Andy the one that played for the – I know some of them bounced around.
Andy was the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Okay.
Let's see.
One of the Bennises gave up a homer in relief. That is my favorite baseball play of all time. It was Don Mattingly's
Well, it must be as well as you remember the details.
only postseason homer. It came in the ALDS in 1995, and it was Andy Bennis. And Gary Thorne was on the call, and he said something like, "Hold on to the roof," and Yankee Stadium just went freaking ballistic.
There's no roof at Yankee Stadium.
I know, but it was amazing.
But that's a dumb saying.
Thinking about it still gives me chills.
But that's kind of a dumb saying because there's no roof there.
Thinking about it still gives me chills. Don Mattingly, homer, 95 LDS, and LJ's 4-point play, 2 of the great memories of my lifetime.
95, Bennis played. He was 7-2 for the Mariners.
Yeah, so it was him that gave up the homer. Came on in relief and gave it up. But congratulations to Mark Schallenberger. Congratulations to Evansville for their big dub. We come back, the latest on Indy's MLS bid, and we've got quick hits to get to as well. The Mascot Hall of Fame being in danger, we'll talk about that too.
What?
Yeah. It's in Indiana.
In danger?
Well, yeah, it's in danger of closing. Corey Schultz, ISC. Sean's running the account.
At Bailey and Wood.
Welcome back. Bailey Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get to our quick hits here. Rest in peace, Larry Allen.
Yeah.
One of the truly great offensive linemen of all time.
I saw a play. I mean, it's probably well documented, but the Cowboys were playing, I believe it was in New Orleans. Troy Aikman threw an interception to a linebacker. But the linebacker's running and has the angle, and Larry Allen, who had been blocking on the play, turns around and notices it and sprints and on the angle runs down the linebacker and knocks him out of bounds.
Yeah.
325 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy because Larry Allen was 7'4", 528 pounds.
Not quite, but close.
I mean, he was bigger than my house.
You know what's
that was
amazing,
a big dude.
Derek? What's amazing is the players that the Cowboys acquired via draft in the Herschel Walker trade. They hit on every one of them.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Was Allen one of them?
I don't know if he was one of them. Let me see. But that
it was like
I shouldn't have said that, but I'm just saying that line. Though,
Russell Maryland, Darren Woodson, I think were part of those draft picks. I'm trying to remember who else would have been. I know it was those 3.
Who was their other great lineman in that era? Nate Newton?
Yeah, Nate Newton, who was, I think, driving like a semi-truck full of marijuana at some point, right? Didn't he?
The picks acquired were used to draft Emmitt Smith, Darren Woodson, Russell Maryland.
Yeah. I remember those three.
So maybe it wasn't, but just around then they seemingly hit on every pick, I guess is a better way of saying it. I mean, just incredible.
Dumb question, is Darren Woodson a Hall of Famer? Or was he Hall of Very Good?
I think he was Hall of Very Good.
Okay, because Nate Newton, who we just mentioned as the other
he was a Pro Bowler,
lineman,
Woodson, for sure.
Was kind of Hall of Very Good. But Darren Woodson was a really good player. And I think even Russell Maryland went to a couple of Pro Bowls as well. But it's sad. I mean, God, 52 years old. He's got seemingly his whole life. Part of the 1990s and 2000s All-Decade team. Came up out of Compton in a rough neighborhood. Played community college ball, D2 ball, and then really solidified himself as one of the greats. Played every position on the offensive line except center and went to the Pro Bowl in multiple offensive line positions. I think Bruce Matthews is the only other one to do that.
He's in the Hall of Fame already,
oh,
right?
Yeah. Larry Allen's a great player. WNBA charter's working out so far. You had kind of mentioned this earlier on. They got their charter plan done in a few weeks, actually, even though they had been trying to do it for a long time. Do you know how much it cost them to do the charter flights for the 12 teams?
For the whole year?
Yeah. I was a little surprised with this number. I actually thought it was going to be more than this.
Per season?
Actually, this was for 2 years, but I could do the per season in my head. Yeah. I thought it was going to be more than this.
Boy, that's a lot of flights, though.
Yeah.
$30 million.
I mean, you're not per season, but you're close to the 2-year total. It's 25, so 12.5 per year. So like $1 million per team. Doesn't that seem cheap? $1 million per year to do charter flights? I mean, you're talking 14, 15 players and then coaches and support staff. I mean, that's right. And probably at least a dozen flights per year.
I know someone who had to get a plane for 8.
Well, Shannon did this for a career, right? So
correct.
Yeah. So you would know better than anybody.
So renting a plane for 8, I think round trip was $39,000. So
wow,
that's a private plane. That's
yeah,
that's
but
a
still,
jet.
yeah.
So a charter, I'm sure when you're getting in that bulk, it's less, but still.
I'm trying to think. Last time I was on a PJ, I don't really. You don't really know what the cost is. You know what I mean? You just kind of go and they hand you your drink on a private jet. A PJ is what
you've never been on a private jet.
So I think it's rude to ask, like, how much. It's like going when you go to one of those dinner parties and it's at a mansion. It's like, how much did your home cost? Like, you wouldn't ask that. You just hop on the PJ and you go.
Who was the last person that flew you on a private jet anywhere?
I don't want to talk about my private life, but we're high profile figures, and yes, I've been on a PJ before.
Okay, let me rephrase that. When's the last time you went on one, and then that you were on one, and it actually took a flight?
5 years ago.
Where'd you go?
We went from the municipal airport. I think is it in Mishawaka, and then we went to the lake in Michigan, and then came back. It was a Cessna. It was like a PJ. I mean, I called it a PJ.
Zero chance that's a true story.
And I brought a water bottle with me, so I didn't actually get handed a drink. But yeah, my cousin Stockton flies planes. He has a pilot's license, and I got up in a Cessna one time. But it was a private flight in a jet-like vehicle.
And it was for how long?
I think it took us an hour.
Zero chance that's true.
Yeah. You could look it up. It was either South Bend or Mishawaka Airport, but they have a private. I mean, we have a municipal airport right by the Sam's Club on 96th Street.
Correct.
Right, where people fly little private. It was one of those little private Cessna planes, and he has a pilot's license, and he has to get hours in, and we flew from there to the lake house that they have. I forgot what town that was in Michigan.
It's got to be way up there.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't far up. It was like central Michigan. Okay. Because it was only an hour flight. We weren't in the air very long. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was my PJ story. But I would like to fly in Jim Irsay's PJ with the Colts logo and the whole deal in there. Mascot Hall of Fame in danger. The future mascot Hall of Fame, the future of the Mascot Hall of Fame in Whiting is in jeopardy. This is a dumb question. Is Whiting north?
Yeah, I think so. Ended up by South Bend, isn't it?
Okay. Region. Okay, Whiting's region. Okay. Sorry, I was making sure that wasn't like New Albany, Jeffersonville. I knew it was one or the other. The mayor there, well, I guess he told the Northwest Times of Northwest Indiana, so this would make it the region, that it could close if plans for an office complex in the surrounding stadium district move forward. The Hall of Fame and Interactive Children's Museum opened in 2019. It's owned by the city, but it costs $500,000 in tax dollars to operate, and it's not self-sustaining.
Are they not getting enough people to come to the Mascot Hall of Fame?
No. Do you want a road trip up there and go?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to see and do in the region that we can also do while we're up there. Oh, I was serious.
See Michael Jackson's childhood home.
Yeah.
Right?
There's one thing.
Okay.
I don't know. The region always has kind of felt separate to me, like a separate entity.
Well, yeah.
Like it's almost like this giant Chicago suburb that people have mostly forgotten about. But the people that are from there, I have some dear friends that are from the region, and they are very defensive about the region. Like they're very proud to be from the region. Southern Indiana people are like that too. I think those are the two strongest regions as far as like pride. Like
That's
if you
fair.
meet somebody from Northeast Indiana, they don't give a
Well,
people
the
from
funny
Angola don't give a crap.
Derek, the
about
thing I always thought was funny was when you go to IU
from
and you
there.
meet somebody and you're like, where are you from? Chicago. And then you're like, what part? And they're like, Crown
No,
Point.
where'd you go to high school? Andrean.
Yeah. And you're like,
What?
there's no one in Chicago that claims Merrillville. Yeah.
No. That's why I told everybody when they asked me at Indiana, or I just tell them outright, I am from Connecticut, Trumbull, 1989 Little League World Champions. I'd never say New York. Stupid. Trumbull has its own profile.
Yeah. It's
And
not
a lot of people love Connecticut. Connecticut is a very, very relevant state
Okay.
to people and people's lives. Mm-hmm. Do we have time? I don't know if we have time to talk about the soccer stadium.
Bottom line is this with the MLS soccer
Yeah,
stadium.
give it to me in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a guy who owned a business company, and that business built big buildings. And along with those big buildings, he decided to bring a minor league soccer team to Indianapolis in hopes that that could catapult into a contract to be able to build big buildings, including a soccer stadium. And he did a really good job of building a fan base, and people enjoyed his soccer team, which played in a couple of different leagues. And there was always conversation that it would move to the MLS, but each time that conversation kind of got going, something would happen that would just kind of stall that conversation and it would stay where it was. But they played in a couple of different facilities, including Lucas Oil Stadium, and then decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead and go through with this. And the man who owned the company is pretty politically involved and has been involved in Indianapolis for a long time. So he had a business agreement, in principle, a handshake and a wink, with the city of Indianapolis to build a huge complex on the near west side of Indianapolis for his soccer stadium. But the problem was
1 minute.
that was actually the location of an original late 19th century, early 20th century graveyard. And as a result of that, there's still human remains that are there that were never properly excavated out. And so that makes things difficult when trying to clear out that land. So Joe Hogsett, the mayor of Indianapolis, had a conversation during All-Star Weekend with some people from the MLS that told him that if they, in fact, want to have an MLS team in Indianapolis, it would behoove him to actually go to a different location as opposed to the one we're talking about. And in addition to that, they had some reservation as to the business practices of the man that owns the team. Not saying he's a bad business person, but I think there are some political things in play there as well. So Joe Hogsett found other investors outside of Indianapolis, thought that that was a better path to the MLS, and as a result, the city yesterday approved a plan to be able to go ahead and build separate from the man that we originally talked about that was trying to build on an old graveyard.
I mean, this thing's really moving. I'm actually surprised how rapidly it's moving. I mean, it literally went from, hey, I think this is a possibility to now we're like
Can
voting.
anybody give me some approval on my ability to just summarize
it was
that in
pretty
2
good.
minutes? I mean,
it was a little wordy, but yeah, it was good. But you're a lot wordy. So the fact that you were just a little wordy.
Did I get it
is
within
okay.
2 minutes?
Barely.
Did I leave anything out?
You didn't acknowledge me in anywhere in there. My
No,
co-host Derek Schultz.
I
my
said
capable
minor league.
co-host. Okay, no, that's funny. I guess I opened myself up to that. Chateau Kitchen's Biter Bull Bleep when we come back, and we'll tie a bow on episode 189. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in, it's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us. It's time for Buy It or Bull Bleep. Thanks to our friends at Chateau Kitchens, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures, chateaukitchens.com. I believe he is in the market. Our buddy Jordan Shue, who is one of the game directors here at ISC Sports Network, bought a new house.
Okay.
And it's pretty turnkey, but he said the kitchen, they tried to paint the cabinets. The previous owners tried to paint the cabinets themselves. Didn't so much work. Needs a little bit of a glow up, a little bit of a facelift, a little bit of a reno. And that's what Chateau Kitchens can do for you. Not just kitchens, but bathrooms, really anything on the interior of your home. chateaukitchens.com. And don't take my word for it, even though they've done multiple projects in my house. The before and after pictures tell the whole story at Chateau Kitchens. I mean, you see a little bit of the after. That's just the after there. And just the drywall work, the attention to detail, the pectoral muscles. I mean, everything about that picture is just really perfection. It's beautiful. It's cutting edge. It's trendy. It's cool. It's sexy.
One thing Chateau Kitchens also can do is make for a wider drain on your shower, your sink, for all of the hair that might be clogging it, which does appear to be a problem with some of their, not all, people who have used their fabulous ability to redo a shower, a bathtub, because if you look like an Ewok, that could be a problem.
Just saying. Ewoks saved the day.
Yeah, okay.
Return of the Jedi. They did.
Are they good guys or bad guys?
They had the Imperial forces on Endor, and they booted them out of there.
The Ewoks are good or bad guys?
They're good guys.
What about the Jawas?
The Jawas?
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks?
Mr. Star Wars geek, and you don't know what a Jawa is?
I only know the first three, really. I didn't watch any of the and wait, no, I know the first three and the second three.
That's all of them.
No. You got Rogue One and
the Jawas
Rise
are
of Skywalker
at minimum the
or
Jawas are in Empire Strikes Back or Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
You know the Jawas?
Jar Jar Binks, I know.
No, the Jawas, they go around and they buy stuff on Craigslist and resell it.
The Sand People?
I don't know. Yeah. Somebody help me out here.
Okay. I don't know. JD was waving his arms frantically in there, so he knows a little bit. Okay, he's doing thumbs down, so they must be bad.
No, Jawas, I don't think Jawas are good or bad. They're like scrap metal salespeople. They go around and steal like catalytic converters off cars and resell them.
All right, statement one, Buy It or Bull Bleep.
I've seen this movie one time.
Gotta end
How
the
do I
show
know
at
that?
some point here. This is a forgettable NBA Finals matchup, Buy It or Bull Bleep.
Yeah, here's the Jawas. They look like you.
Yeah, those are Sand People. I didn't know that they had a formal name. Because they were early on when Obi-Wan was taking Luke around. They were the ones that were confronting them while they were on their cruiser, like kind of cruising around.
They combed the deserts of Tatooine in search of
Tatooine.
discarded scrap. Okay.
Yeah.
And wayward. Yeah, there we go.
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know that they had a formal name, the Jawas. Yeah. I don't think they're good or bad. I think they're just kind of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your butter?
This is a forgettable NBA Finals matchup, Buy It or Bull Bleep.
I think you buy that.
I think that's true about most of these, though. Honestly,
you're right.
You know, we're in an era where there are no dynasties.
This kind of feels like
Eh.
this kind of feels like Dallas, Miami.
I'll watch, but I don't care. I'll watch, but I don't care. Is how I'd say it. Christie sides won't last the season. Buy It or Bull Bleep.
Buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
like
Bull Bleep, but I don't feel very confident in Bull Bleep because I don't know how many in-season firings that we have when it comes to the WNBA. Honestly, when it comes to that, thanks to our great sponsors, Chili Water Brewing, Hoagies and Hops as well. 42nd and Boulevard. Chateau Kitchens, who we just mentioned, and you saw those lovely, lovely pictures.
Except
Love
for the one
Heating and
picture of
Cooling.
Derek shirtless.
Bailey and Wood Financial Group. For Sean Walker, for Greg Rakestraw, I'm Derek Schultz. God, Sean's running the outro already. Bye. See you guys. Have a good week.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.